Welcome to the Herd's official YouTube channel. Make sure to like and subscribe. Don't forget to check out the Colin Cowherd podcast, all of our NFL instant reactions, and more football content.
Oh, here we go on a Monday. We told you it may not look like much on paper, but it was going to be a really good Sunday, and it was. Overtime games. Already got coordinators getting whacked. 1 hour from now, where Colin was right, where Colin was wrong. Oh, there's plenty of both. Wow. So, Cowboys-Eagles, J-Mac. It was, on paper, we think Dallas is floundering, but somehow Shoddy has got this offense, at least in moments, playing out of their mind, and it ended up being a wildly, incredibly entertaining game. So let's just start with that one. I said it last week, and I've been a huge critic of the Cowboys. They're not as far off as you think since they've made these trades. Okay? A lot of us may owe an apology to Gerald Wayne Jones Jr. because Kenny Clark and Quinnen Williams deals, now suddenly you can't run on the Cowboys. The Micah Parsons trade, well, didn't have much of an effect. They're still top 3 in quarterback rushes. The George Pickens move, I mean, that's one of the heists. Poor Steelers can't throw the ball down the field. George Pickens, 3rd in the NFL in touchdowns. DeMarvion Overshown, that dude was great at Texas with the Longhorns. He is healthy. He is super athletic. 2 first-round picks. They're going to get an edge to replace Micah, probably a corner. I don't know. The offense works, man. Number 1 in the league in total offense, number 1 in passing, number 4 in scoring. It works. And because of Pickens and CeeDee Lamb, you can't cheat on the run game. So the Cowboys are running the ball now better than they have since Zeke in 2019. Now, the O-line is hot and cold. Better run blocking than pass blocking. But statistically, I know they're only 5-1. I know they're playing Kansas City. And it may not turn out well, but I would rather be Dallas today and have the offense figured out than be the Steelers for the 5th year in a row paying a fortune for a defense that can't stop anybody. You can say what you want about Dallas. 2 first-round picks. Overshown's healthy. George Pickens, heist. A real run game for the first time in forever. And say this for Jerry or Gerald Wayne Jones Sr. He has always been 100% committed to Dak. He has said he's the best leader I've ever had. And yesterday, that unflappable leadership, trailing 21-0, throwing, he can throw a red zone pick. Doesn't matter. It's Dak. It's just noise. A lot of that win was Dak. And Jerry said Dak was indispensable. Micah was great, but he was tradable. And guess what? The Cowboys are still getting a pass rush. The Cowboys defense right now is better than it was last year. And with Micah, it is. You can't run on them now with Kenny Clark and Quinnen Williams. Yeah, I have questions about Shoddy. I didn't think it was the strongest hire. I thought they should have gone heavy into Mike Vrabel or the year before into Jim Harbaugh or Sean Payton, and they didn't. And Jerry doesn't necessarily want to pay coaches big money, but I'll say this for Shoddy. When teams play hard and don't quit, it's something. I mean, I thought they were buried. I mean, it was 21-0. I'm like, oh, come on. I wanted a good game. It's the late window. Give me a game. I don't want to have to watch Jacksonville and Arizona. Give me a game. And it was. And it's Dak, and it's leadership, and it's no quit, and it's Overshown. I don't know. Philly's been tempting fate for weeks, and nobody can quite beat them, and then the Cowboys do. To score 24 unanswered points against a really, really good defense. Credit to everybody, even Matt Eberflus. Everybody gets credit for this one. But more than anything, it is Dak. A lot of noise, unflappable. Jerry's always been committed to him. We all owe him an apology. It's funny, you start looking at these first-round deals, and you're like, oh, they're losing Micah. They couldn't defend the run when they had Micah. Now you can't run on them. So who made the good deal? Who made the bad deal? I said during the Micah deal, good for Green Bay, not terrible for Dallas. Dallas will be fine. They just got to get healthy. They got to get some draft picks. So here was Dak and Jerry after.
Down 21. What did this team draw upon to get this win? our brotherhood, one another. We got that touchdown before half and went in halftime and we talked about it. Like, we've only been hurting ourselves. We know what we're capable of doing. Come out, stay focused, stick together, and we can win this thing. Nobody blinked. Everybody believed it, and we got it done.
George has been such an integral part of our story. And he has his story to a degree that's our story. And I'm so proud for him. Everybody on this team is. And he certainly has absolutely been the difference as we've played over the last 2 weeks.
And I'll say this, sometimes you have unintended consequences or unintended benefits of a trade, right? I don't think they thought when George Pickens arrived it would help the run game so much, but you got Pickens on one side, CD on the other. You can't just do single coverage. You got to do some bracketing. You got to play honest. You can't have your safeties two up. So the reality is now the run game's working. The O-line's getting better. 2 elite receivers. Dak's on fire. 2 first-round picks. Don't need a quarterback, so could turn 2 first-round picks into 5 total picks. The great thing about the NFL, it's the league of hope. You can be absolutely awful one year, New England, and be a number 1 seed the following year, potentially New England. Can't do that in baseball. You can't do that in the NBA. It takes time and acquisitions. That is what is great. If you have a reasonable quarterback, and Dak is more than reasonable, look at Dallas, from hopeless to hopeful this morning. All right. Used to be a saying, how about them Cowboys? How about them Bears? First place. Now, Chicago was missing 6 defensive starters. So let's just start with that. Their entire linebacking core was out. So suddenly you go into this game with Pittsburgh thinking, oh, we can't be boring. We've got to move the ball down the field. And Caleb Williams, in my opinion, played his best game as a pro. Yeah, he had a bad strip sack for a touchdown. Yeah, he misses open receivers. Yep. 4th straight game under 60% completions. But Ben and Caleb is a marriage, and both are helping each other out. Ben has provided creative play design and creative play calling, and he's created some structure and focused on the run game. And Caleb is giving Ben Johnson the horsepower that Jared Goff in Detroit could have only dreamed of. It is a marriage, not of convenience. It works. It's never going to be perfect. Caleb gives you all this horsepower, but he does miss some throws. It's just, it's just part of his game. And I said this, I'll always take the upside for some struggles in accuracy. And Ben and Caleb are both incredibly gifted. Right now, they're the number 1 big play offense in the NFL. This is Chicago. That's something Green Bay does, or McVay does, or Shanahan does, or Buffalo and Josh Allen does. No, it's Chicago. And here's the thing about Caleb. If he's your quarterback, there's 2 or 3 guarantees. Big arm, big mobility, playmaker. Loves the big play. And Ben Johnson is providing the structure and the running game to allow that. Much easier to throw downfield on 2nd and 4 when you don't have negative plays. That's the one thing about Caleb. There's 2 or 3 things we all know about him. But I have said this for years about Caleb. He doesn't get hurt and he doesn't throw picks. If you provide him with a decent structure to play within and a foundational running game, then those big plays are easier. It sucks the linebackers in. It gives him more space. He's going to make plays with his feet, and he's got a huge arm, but he just needs structure. He needs a run game, and he's obviously coachable because he's completely eliminated the negative plays. 11 games, he's been sacked 11 times. Now just think about that. That's not because pass rushes died. It's not just because they improved the offensive line. If you're sacked 68 times and it's down to 11, you are coachable. And a lot of great athletes in all sports aren't, and Caleb is. So this marriage works. I don't think it's a perfect fit. They're facing a very angry Philadelphia team next. That's not a place I'd want to be. But Ben and Caleb addressed the number 1 issue. What did Ben say? No negative plays. We can't have these 2nd and 22s, 3rd and 19s. We can't do that where everybody knows what we're doing. So they're doing play action. They're doing under center. It really works. And here's with Caleb, you don't get the picks. It's very rare in the history of the NFL that you get all this upside and you don't get a lot of downside. I mean, Marino threw picks, Elway threw picks, Namath threw picks, Peyton threw picks, Luck picks, Cam picks, Josh Allen picks. When you get the massive upside, there's usually a downside. He doesn't throw them. So it's working. They're winning. It's a little uneven. It's not always a perfect fit. But when you're missing your entire linebacking crew and you're going up against the team in Pittsburgh, don't forget, hammered the Patriots, the red-hot Patriots, hammered the Colts, who went toe-to-toe with Mahomes and Andy Reid. So wins are wins. Here's Ben after.
Hell yeah! Man, I tell you what, it takes a village. It takes a village. And I'm talking about players, I'm talking about coaches, I'm talking about training staff, I'm talking about everybody in this building. Everybody. And here we are towards the back half of the season, and our depth is being tested. All right? It would have been so easy to walk. Man, how are we going to win this game? We got no linebackers. Man, I can keep going on and on and on and on, man. Credit to you guys, that's number 8.
How about that? In a day, how about them Cowboys? And how about them Bears? In one weekend, J-Mac. Caleb this season, through 11 games, has been sacked 75% less than he was last year at this time. We all talked about it before the season. I don't care about wins. You got to eliminate the negative plays and sacks. Ben Johnson and Caleb in unison have. And that's the difference. It's what Brady talked about in Belichick. They asked Belichick, favorite part of Brady in that sit-down interview. He goes, no negative plays. We always stayed ahead of the chains. He didn't talk about not throwing interceptions or a big arm or Brady's. Yeah, Tom got rid of the ball quickly. Yesterday, I believe, was it Caleb Williams, the fastest he's ever, second fastest release time as a pro. So Caleb, all the games he's played yesterday against the Steelers, and we talked about it Friday, don't tease TJ Watt. He did once and got burned. You got to get rid of the ball. Yesterday, the second fastest getting rid of the ball in Caleb Williams' career. So again, it comes back to working with the coach, being coachable. And for the record, Ben's got to work with Caleb because Jared Goff didn't give you this. Jared Goff didn't have this jet fuel. Really interesting stuff. You know, people say, listen, these games are ugly. Who cares? Coaches, you know, Sean McVay said it last week on analytics. Everybody's got all the answers, none of the accountability. You got to win games. You need W's, otherwise you get fired. We got 2 guys getting fired today. Giants got rid of their DC. Raiders got rid of their OC. You got to win games. If the Raiders win, Chip Kelly's still working. Okay, if the Giants win, that DC who's not doing a great job probably still retains his gig. Got to get W's. Bears are. J-Mac, what a Sunday. Wow.
4 overtime games, I think. And I just love the glee that I hear from you and the Chicago Bears. Get another awesome victory beating Mason Rudolph. Yeah, that's right, Mason Rudolph. Nice dub for the Bears. Did you see the line for Bears-Eagles this week? You told me to look at the lines.
No. Let me guess.
I don't think you can even get within 2 points of this.
Okay, so Philadelphia's at home, off a loss. This is a tough spot for Chicago. Feeling them.
Tough one.
I would say Philly minus 5.5.
7.
Ooh.
Opened at 7. Now, listen, I was expecting a 4.5, something like that. Bears are playing good. Maybe they'll get one of the linebackers back. I'm stunned at that. And the Eagles, I don't know what the problems are. They're not Jalen Hurts, but they got some problems somewhere.
We'll talk about that. We'll talk about the Chiefs. Colin right, Colin wrong. 45 minutes from now, Matt Hasselbeck too. Today's show brought to you by our new presenting sponsor, Hard Rock Bet. There are 3 things to be thankful for this week: family, food, and football. And thanks to Hard Rock Bet, you can easily sneak in bets while your crazy uncle goes on his annual rant about the good old days. Sign up today. You could feast with $150 in bonus bets. Just place a $5 bet. That's it. If it hits, you get not only your winnings, but also $150 in extra bonus bets. That's an offer you can't pass up, even on a full stomach.
So not sure what to place your first bet? Head over to Hard Rock Bet Stats Hub. That's Hard Rock Bet Stats Hub, and it'll help you out. Loaded with trends and streaks and stats to help guide your picks. It's great. Numbers don't lie, and neither does the data in there. Plus, this week on Hard Rock Bet, 3 50% profit boosts, one for each Thanksgiving Day game. Boost your same-game parlay or SGP Max so your bets pay extra winnings. There's new promos every day, so if you're listening on to this later, just open the app, check it out. Any day of the week, doesn't matter. Download the Hard Rock Bet app right now. Make your first deposit.
Some of you may not remember this, but I do. When George Foreman, remember George Foreman 2.0, boxing for titles in his 40s? He was slower. Foreman was older. He had a dad bod, but he still carried a punch with that dad bod. That's where the Chiefs are right now. That game yesterday, forget the first 3 quarters. That was about the fourth quarter and overtime. Kansas City was tough and resilient and fighting their butt off. And they were clutch. 236 yards, fourth quarter and overtime. Another team, Indy, had a 29 lead in a fumble recovery and choked like a cat on a hairball. Daniel Jones, last 3 weeks, regressed into the New York Giant, Daniel Jones. Chiefs are not a great team, but they fight and scratch and claw, and they've still got that George Foreman punch. Okay, and dynasties do not usually end abruptly. Kobe and Shaq, they got to a finals, lost to the Pistons, but they got there. And Brady, before he left, 12 games and a playoff appearance. And Manny Pacquiao, I was there against Dennis Thurman, won a fight at 40. Dynasties don't end abruptly. They fight, they scratch, they claw. Little like Thanksgiving. Little bit of a mess. Fire alarm goes off twice. But by the time the meal's delivered yesterday, it's pretty good. And that's Kansas City. Indy had this game wrapped. Get out the bow. Late shopping, it was done. But even then, the game was not about Daniel Jones and his ceiling. That was going to happen, right? September, October, you get fooled a lot on quarterback play. Weather's perfect, right? Your roster's not injured yet as a quarterback. You have all your weapons. Then all of a sudden, you lose your number 2 receiver and your number 1 right tackle, and you're down to a third-string running back. Ask Justin Herbert last several years. Now Daniel Jones doesn't quite look like it did. And Kansas City doesn't look like they used to either. But the reality is, dynasties do not die abruptly. Kansas City now has Denver at home, the Chargers at home, the Texans at home, and the Cowboys are probably feeling themselves, and they face Dallas next. Champions are about executing at their best. Tom Brady threw pick sixes in Super Bowls. You can have mistakes. That game was all about the fourth quarter and all about overtime. And in that space, fourth and overtime, the Chiefs had 14 points, 13 first downs, and 236 total yards. And the Colts had no points and no first downs. Here's Mahomes after the season-saving W.
This is exactly what we needed. To win against a really good football team and the game's not going your way, you could have folded in that situation. We needed a win like this, and now let's just try to build off of it.
I mean, it's, the old saying, dead to rights. It was over. And and this is what, this is the older Lakers or the older Patriots, or you just fight and scratch and claw, and it's imperfect and it's ugly, but all I care about, I sit down for the meal, what's it look like in the end? And it's a win. What a wild day yesterday. J-Mac with the news.
No. Heard on the news. This is the Herd Line News.
Speaking of wild, the Raiders organization is a wild dumpster fire. Chip Kelly got fired last night, Colin. He is the highest paid offensive coordinator in the league, and he lasted a whopping 11 games. Oh, my gosh. I did see a crazy stat that Pete Carroll, in all his years in Seattle, never fired a coordinator. He's now fired 2 in the last 3 weeks. So things are really going sideways for the Raiders. Geno Smith was sacked 10 times. Oh. I don't know how closely you watch that. It looked to me, I had the Browns. it looked to me like the Raiders' offensive line just quit. Like they just didn't care.
I'll say this. Not all bad teams are the same. Not all bad teams have a coach like Kevin Stefanski and a GM like Andrew Berry. And I'll argue this. I'll die on this hill. Cleveland has talent. Okay, that running back, baller. Couple old linemen that are elite. The best pass rusher, the Denzel Wards. Jerry Jeudy drives me crazy. He's talented.
Oh, gosh.
David Njoku. So don't tell me, of all the teams in the league right now, we lump into bad teams. There is no Stefanski at any of those teams. I think Barry's an elite GM. I think none of them have the best player, arguably, in the whole league in Myles Garrett. Cleveland may not have the quarterback they ideally want. They tried with Watson. But the Browns have talent, and I'll die on that hill all day.
Yeah, the quarterback situation is unsettled. Shedeur was solid. I'm sure we'll talk about him later. But this is more about the Raiders, Colin. You could argue right now that they're the worst team in the league.
Yeah.
And this is bad for Pete Carroll. I talked last week on this show. Hey, is he going to be one and done? I mean, Colin, he handpicked Geno Smith. Geno Smith does not look like an NFL. I don't even know if he's a backup next year anywhere. Do you think Pete Carroll survives this season?
No, I think it's over at the end of the season. That's my guess.
Damn. Yeah, I'm with you. Raiders they're worse than the Jets, and that's saying a lot.
Yeah.
All right, let's go to Sunday Night Football. It was a snoozer. Rams just bludgeoned the Buccaneers. I mean, it was over basically from Jump Street. 34-7 was the final. This was 21-0 before I sat down with like my milk and cookies. Matt Stafford was phenomenal. He is on an absolute heater. He's 37 years old. He's throwing no-look passes, 27 consecutive touchdown passes without a pick. Here's Davante Adams gassing up his quarterback.
He's playing like the most valuable player in the league. I mean, you can see it in the numbers, the way he's taking command of the huddle and the offense. The way him and Sean put things together and work, throughout the week together to put together a good product for us. Just all around. I mean, he's a great leader and obviously knows how to put points on the board and keep this offense moving.
Listen, Davante Adams, the Raiders situation wasn't great. Either was the Jets. But he got Aaron in his prime, and now he's getting this Stafford.
Yeah. Probably going to get him to the Hall of Fame, right? I mean,
here's the thing. They didn't give up anything to get him. He was a free agent. So, I mean, it's amazing they were able to get him for a very reasonable price. The Rams, let's be honest, they have two number one receivers. They have two, even as much as we like T. Higgins, he's not Jamar Chase. The Eagles have two number one receivers. The Rams have two number one receivers, which, again, the Cowboys right now look like they have two number one receivers. I always saw Pickens as a really good two. Pickens is playing like a one. So when you have, it's not a coincidence, when you have two great receivers like the Rams and the Cowboys, you can run the football. You can't cheat on the Rams. They throw to their tight ends. They can run, play action. They can go deep, crossers. They are the cleanest, most efficient team. No penalties, no turnovers. The Rams are one of those teams. I mean, think about Philadelphia, how good they are. Philly goes long stretches where they look inept. I mean, the Rams, Tampa's a legitimately good division-winning team potentially. Not even competitive.
Well, I don't know. The Baker Mayfield stuff doesn't sound good. It sounded like an AC joint sprain. They don't know if he's going to be able to play this week. Just real quick, though, I know you said the Eagles stink. Their offensive coordinator situation is a disaster. Like, can we get Jalen Hurts in with McVay? I mean, McVay is amazing. McVay gets Goff, go to the Super Bowl. McVay trades somehow, gets Stafford, wins the Super Bowl, and now they're the number one seed. By the way, Colin, the Eagles' loss is kind of damaging for them getting the number one seed, although they do have the tiebreaker over the Rams. I just don't know if SoFi is a big home field advantage for the Rams.
It's a big weather advantage. That's
you don't have
key.
to go outdoors, but the Rams could win outdoors.
Yes, but it's a huge advantage. I mean, the stadium may be 55% Eagle fans. No snow, 72 degrees. That's what they work out in and train. There is no question. Yeah, I watched a lot of Dan Fouts teams that were magical offensively. You send them to Cincinnati, it's 9 degrees. It's different. So number one in the AFC, I don't think matters as much because most of the good teams over there all play in bad weather. But for the Rams or like the Lions
are they're going to be live.
Home field's a big deal.
And Green Bay should have their track team of receivers healthy. I'm just saying, if Rams host the NFC title game, it really opens things up for the NFC, makes a lot of teams interesting. Final story, Colin, we got to talk about this Lane Kiffin stuff. I'm floored by this. Lane Kiffin is now deciding between staying at Ole Miss, going to LSU, going to Florida, all kinds of nonsense out there. So the AD at Ole Miss has spoken up and said he's expecting a decision after Friday's Egg Bowl.
So that's interesting. Before, we were hearing reports that he wanted an answer before the game. Now the AD has lightened up and said, smartly, I want an answer after the game. You don't want people worrying about that.
Yeah.
But in the end, I think we just have to be totally forthright. I like Lane. I text Lane. I think he's a brilliant guy. I think he's a brilliant football coach. I think he should stay or go to the NFL. I don't think he should bounce around in the SEC.
That's a take.
Yeah, stay at Ole Miss, not because you want to be a legend there, because they're going to pay you $12 million. You got it rolling. Your offense is great. Or go to the NFL because, it's college football. NFL's better coaching. You're an elite offensive coach or a former player. But my gut feeling is Lane has kind of done Ole Miss. He's not somebody that's going to, wear the high school Letterman jacket and look. Lane is looking for new challenges. LSU has always been viewed as first or second greatest job in the greatest conference. Georgia and LSU. Those jobs are NFL factories. So Lane could get the NFL feel without the NFL ownership over breathing down your neck.
Yeah, and the goofy LSU situation, I think, knocks it down a peg. Let me just add this, Colin. I looked at Ole Miss is a 7.5-point favorite against Mississippi State, right? So they should win, but going to Stark Vegas, wacky things happen, a rivalry game. Colin, do you know Ole Miss is going to the playoff, and they're basically one bad quarter against Georgia away from being undefeated?
Yeah.
And he would walk away from a team going to the playoff. They could win the national championship. I don't think they would, but they could. And he would walk away from that opportunity to go coach in Baton Rouge? That's insane. I don't understand that. So that's why I think he's staying.
I think Nick Saban talked about this. College football's got to solve this. In the NFL, you don't hire somebody that has a job in season.
Cannot do that.
But in college, you can.
Yeah.
So in life, when you can do something, aggressive people are going to do something. LSU doesn't give a rip about Ole Miss. The SEC is all about W's. So this is a college football issue, not a Lane Kiffin issue.
Yeah.
I mean, the reality is, if you didn't have, if the tax system in America was an honor system, everybody would cheat on their taxes.
Right.
You can't because of the IRS. You have to set up boundaries, or aggressive people are just going to do what aggressive people do. So you can blame Lane. He's not. He didn't create it. He's a symptom of it. He didn't cause it.
Yeah. So the other thing is, before the playoff, right, Colin, there were exhibition bowl games. And if a coach leaves before you're playing in the Peach Bowl,
Nobody
who cares?
cares.
But the playoff, that to me is totally different. I'll be honest. I'll be surprised if he leaves. I know Florida, LSU.
Yeah.
That would be shocking.
J-Mac with the news.
Well, that's the news.
And thanks for stopping by.
The Herd Lie News.
So I always said this all the years I've been doing this and relying on executives in the NFL who I text and talk to. I'd never seen a quarterback that I viewed as a mid-first, mid-second round quarterback going to the fifth round. And then there were stories that came out about Shedeur Sanders that kind of explained it, a little bougie. And it's like, oh, okay. But I didn't know that before the draft. But I always said about him in college, I said, like, he moves well. He's super accurate. He's got kind of a casualness to him. Like, he's not, his dad's famous. He's been at famous places. He's not intimidated by the moment. His confidence doesn't ebb and flow. I think he lacks maturity and self-awareness, but there's a looseness and a bring-it-on attitude that I didn't think he was going to shrink. I predicted Friday he'd go 13 of 18, 1 touchdown and 1 horrific pick, and he went close to that. But unlike Dylan Gabriel, you do get big plays out of Shedeur, and that matters. And if Geno Smith is a franchise quarterback, so is Shedeur Sanders. And I thought Kevin Stefanski, smart game plan. Rolled him out at the goal line. They used the Wildcat. And there were very few negative plays. Obviously, Shedeur was coachable and listened. So there was a lot of stuff I liked. I never really pre-draft or during the draft understood why he fell. Antonio Pierce, the former Raider coach, said this weekend, we had him as a first-round player. So, and then you hear stuff and the speeding tickets, and you're like, he's got to grow up. But I thought he'd go 13 to 18 with a horrible pick, and he went 11 for 20 with a horrible pick. But overall, you got some big plays. There's no reason to go back to Dillon Gabriel. Let's let this thing play out. And, you know, it's like, in a weird way, Shedeur Sanders is the perfect holiday fling. You play around for the next 6 or 7 weeks, and then eventually Cleveland moves on to a steady or somebody they're going to have, you know, a 15-year relationship with. But there's nothing wrong with a holiday fling. Hey, you connect again on Facebook, hang out for 6 or 7 weeks. It is a good time. But it's not a marriage. I don't think he has great traits. He doesn't have a huge arm. He's not hyper athletic. He doesn't have a cannon. He's kind of loose and fun and capable. I thought it was a lot of fun. And the conspiracy theory crowd, you can't listen to that nonsense. I don't think Shedeur is a 30-year marriage. He's a good time. I thought yesterday was a good time. It was fun. I watched. I would have never watched that game with Dillon Gabriel. So his traits are okay. He's not big. He's not super athletic in his own division. He's not the athlete of Lamar, and he's not nearly as good in the pocket as Burrow. And who knows what Pittsburgh's doing at quarterback. They'll probably figure it out, next Labor Day. And they never wouldn't want to get ahead of schedule. But, I mean, he went from 5th round to 4th string to a first win. He went from a scout team to a savior. And it was a lot of fun. I mean, maybe like Colorado, they'll retire his jersey. It's Cleveland. But overall, he's not affected by it. He's not intimidated by it. I saw a quarterback playing for the Vikings that literally drive to drive, it feels like his confidence goes up and down. Shedeur's kind of whatever. Casual, bring it on. Here he was after his win.
You got to go out there and perform. Like, there's no choices, no question. Nobody cares if this was 1 week of prep. Who cares? So a lot of people want to see me fail, and that ain't going to happen.
Yeah, I don't think a lot of people want to see him fail. I was one of those with Tebow. I never rooted against Tebow, but I said it's not divine intervention. It's a great defense and Matt Prater a kicker. There's no reason to root against Shedeur. His dad's been a little bit of a, prima donna, a little diva and Dion. I think he's a likable kid that needs to grow up a little bit. I wish he played with a little more urgency. Everything kind of feels casual. But it was a good time yesterday. Not all relationships have to be 30-year marriages. Holiday flings are okay. Browns have 2 first-round picks. Their only problem with Shedeur, going to win some of these games down the stretch. And they may not be able to get to the Mendoza pick. And if Dante Moore stays for another year at Oregon, I think there's only 1 or 2 first-round quarterbacks. Maybe it's a good problem to have. In Chicago, it's the Herd.
Thanksgiving Day, Fox is serving up a classic NFC North rivalry as Jordan Love and the Packers take on Jared Goff and the Lions. Coverage begins at 11 a.m. Eastern with the pregame show live on location from Detroit. Thanksgiving Day on Fox.
It's a great game. My wife grew up in NFC North territory in Michigan and Chicago. And so very rarely in her life have the Lions and the Bears been good. And I said it's a great game because the Bears are on a heater. Green Bay and Detroit are talented, but I don't feel great about either one of them. I mean, yesterday, Green Bay clearly didn't think J.J. McCarthy could beat them and had the most conservative game plan of any Green Bay team I've ever seen. So we'll get to that later. But I want to talk about Philadelphia losing to Dallas. So we saw this script 2 years ago. Eagles got off to an unbelievable 10-1 start. Then it got real noisy. And then they circled the drain. And it went sideways in a hurry. So I'm seeing it again. Don't tell me everything's okay. I've been preaching this for 6 months. Something's not right. You keep telling me Nick Sirianni. They've got 2 elite wide receivers, a top 3 O-line, a superstar running back, and they lead the NFL in 3 and outs. Stop telling me everything's okay. Well, Nick Sirianni, his strength is managing a locker room. What is he, a babysitter? I mean, that's part of it, but you got to be more than that. Saquon Barkley, can somebody explain it? He looks like a number 2 back. I mean, look, last year we thought he was the second best back after Barry Sanders we'd ever seen. So if you're an offensive coach, and unquestionably the defense is the strength of your team, you have a stacked offensive roster, and yet are bottom 10 in offense, don't tell me everything's okay. And the other thing, you're like, hey, Nick Sirianni, he is great at managing the locker room. Then why was it Big Dom, their security guard, that had to facilitate the A.J. Brown, Jeffrey Lurie meeting? Isn't that the coach, not the security guard? I mean, Phil Jackson, for the record, he was great at managing egos too. So was Joe Torre. But, you know, Joe Torre could fill out the lineup card, and Phil Jackson and Tex Winter were the architects of the triangle offense, and Phil was a great in-game, late-game chess player. So, I mean, everybody just keeps telling me, well, they're a little uneven. Uneven? I mean, a couple of weeks ago, they led the NFL in punts. How? It's not like they played in their division, Dallas was wonky defensively before all the moves. The Giants are bad defensively. So, I mean, we all keep blaming Jalen Hurts, myself included. I'm over that. Jalen Hurts, he is what he is. You can't be punt, and tell me, well, that's all Jalen Hurts. I saw Baker Mayfield win a game with one practice and Josh Dobbs win a game with no practices. You can't keep blaming Jalen Hurts for all this stuff. I mean, 24 straight points by Dallas? I mean, that's what you do against the Titans. That's what you do against the Raiders. They don't do that against Philadelphia's roster. Here's Jalen after the loss.
It's a matter of the execution, the discipline, and the focus and what we do. And collectively, we just have to take a step in that. It's been a lot of instances where it's shown up and it's gotten us, but we've been able to figure it out and will ourselves to a win, and tonight we didn't. You know, we played a hell of a first half, and then we didn't play, you know, not even a close enough to our standard in the second half. We've been here before. We'll figure it out.
And they may figure it out, and if they do, let's give Jalen Hurts the credit. Or Big Dom. So, I mean, it's not the end of the world. They're going to be in a really bad mood. They're a touchdown, J-Mac says, on Friday over the Bears. It's a rough spot for the Bears. But it's just, you've been telling me for months it's all okay. And I'm like, I saw this 2 years ago, and it looks a lot like 2 years ago. I don't even know what's happened to Saquon Barkley. I have no idea. I mean, is it like arm fatigue in baseball where you go deep in the playoffs, you come back for spring, and there's arm fatigue? I don't know what it is. I just know last year we were talking about one of the great running backs of all time. He looks like a backup. And and again, they have two great receivers. They have good tight ends. Now let me just say this about the Cowboys. Now, for years and years, I have been critical of quarterbacks or coaches who on Wednesday at the podium, it's not linebackers, corners, it's leadership positions, wearing the hat backwards at the Wednesday podium. I don't like it. I've never said anything, though, about a coach in a locker room wearing his hat on backwards. I've never talked about that, and I've got to be honest, I kind of like this yesterday from Shoddy.
Hey, we got a lot of cool to celebrate, but I got a question first. Can you win the game in the first quarter? No. Can you win the game in the second quarter? No. Did we spot them 21 points? Yeah. But what about, hey, can you win the game in the third quarter? No. What about that?
When you play only one game a week, those locker room things are so good. I'll be honest, I've never really coveted the backward hat like most of my audience. That doesn't bother me. The post-game backwards hat, that may become a tradition. On this show, we may promote it and market it. Wednesday podium, don't love it. But I will say about Brian Schottenheimer, he's an offensive coach. What is my rule? How's your side of the ball? Brent Venables in Oklahoma, his side of the ball is great. So Schottenheimer's job is offense. Dak's reeling, the O-line's getting better, the run game is working. Now, 15 years ago, he was thought of as the hot coach. And then there was a lot of people that felt he wasn't current, he wasn't keeping up, whatever. I was one of those people. So he's been really, really good. Now, again, they're 5-5-1. They play the Chiefs. I don't like him in that game. But There is an energy. Listen, Jerry Jones, I think it's pretty well established. He doesn't. The Parcells and the Jimmy Johnson, they're going to keep Jarrett at bay. They don't want him in the room. They don't want him talking to the media. And Jerry's like, it's my toy. I'm sorry. It's a lot more fun than selling oil or finding it. I like doing this whole GM thing. And Jerry's probably a little bit better than anybody gives him credit for. And I didn't think Schottenheimer, I didn't think he was empowering him. I thought it was kind of a weak move. But you have to admit, the offense, the passing game right now, it's extraordinary. It's like the Rams. They're just playing at a different level. So he deserves a lot of credit. Calling right, calling wrong. The whole day, I mean, from Shedeur Sanders, we got coaches getting fired today, to the Dallas Cowboys, to the Colts having it and losing it. It was a really, really wild Sunday. And I think what's fascinating, Thanksgiving is always weird. It's a short week. Do you get the best effort? The Green Bay-Detroit game, to me, is really interesting. Detroit does not feel nearly as precise as last year. Jahmyr Gibbs saved them yesterday. So, I didn't love it when Detroit lost both coordinators, both excellent coordinators, and hired only in the building. I didn't like it. Well, I think I've been proven right. They're not as sharp, but they're just so talented. The Lions are so talented. But I don't like the way they feel. And Green Bay, I thought this weekend, they did cover, but that game plan, that was an indictment of J.J. McCarthy. They're like, we're just going to do field goals. We're going to make him drive down the field. You got nothing deep. Beat us that way. And Green Bay was right.